This is the phoenix mind, where the fire refines, break the chains and rise to shine. Rise on the lead with heart, every end a brand new start. With Lisa Manzo we transform, we ignite. This is the phoenix mind.
Hi, welcome. I'm Lisa Manzo, your host, and today my special guest is Nicolas Roman, or Nico, and I'm going to read you his bio because he's amazing. Nico is an internet personality with a unique condition, alopecia universalis, that resulted in total hair loss. 6 years ago, he turned all the bullying and criticism he faced in childhood into a social media empire with over 16 million followers and over 10 billion views worldwide by making lighthearted, hilarious videos of him embracing his alopecia. To continue to make impact in his own community, he created his own organization, the Naked Confidence Campaign, a special group for people with alopecia centered around building self-confidence and self-acceptance with alopecia. They now have hundreds of members globally with this rare autoimmune condition and meet regularly every month online. Beyond this, Nicolas is now moving forward to mentoring and training people who want to turn social media into a full-time career, whether that be as a content creator or by selling online products or services. Welcome, Nico.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here and you've taken the time with me today. I think this is awesome because, that's so intriguing to me that you had alopecia universalis, and I can say that because I used to work in dermatology.
Yeah, I
And
know. I remember the first time we met that you had mentioned that, and you were like one of the first people to ever know what it was immediately. And I was like, oh, wow.
yeah, I said, can I ask you a personal question? And I said, hey, do you have alopecia universalis? And you looked at me like, how did you know?
What? Yeah.
I was a dermatology nurse. So I knew. I was like, that must have been really hard. Anyway, so tell us about your journey because you write in your bio you were bullied, and let's talk about it. Like, give the audience, your perspective.
I mean, from the beginning, it was difficult, I will say, definitely growing up, because, I mean, when you're young and you experience hair loss, especially for me, it was whenever I was 7 years old, it was something that definitely. It came out of nowhere, and it was something that suddenly made me completely different and made me feel alienated from everybody. I mean, in the beginning, whenever I actually did start to lose my hair, I was kind of like, okay, I'll just roll with this sort of thing. But it wasn't really until middle school that suddenly being bald was actually something that was weird. People started to want to, like, I guess, establish their sense of style and come into their own in middle school. So me being bald was suddenly then a problem to other people. And that's whenever I was more interested. I think it's like middle school years that you're like, oh, I wanna be with somebody. I like girls. I want to have a girlfriend. And the first girl that I ever liked told me, well, I like you a lot, Nico. I just think I would like you more if you had hair. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the next girl after that said the exact same thing. And that was the first time that I kind of thought, wait, so in order for me to be valid, I need to have hair? And I was convinced that that was the thing that was going to make me normal again. And then I got a wig for 2 years and realized that it was a bunch of bogus, which that sucked. Because I mean, having to keep that glued down all the time, especially since I was incredibly involved in sports and always worrying that I was one wig pull or one sloppy adhesive job away from the wig just flying off my head. And I thought that if it did come off, that meant that my friendships were over, my relationships were over, that it was all just going to come tumbling down. And then whenever I finally did get rid of the wig in ninth grade year, you won't believe it, but actually only one person made a comment. In my class of over 1,000 people in high school, only one person asked. They said, "Oh, did you like lose a bet or something?" It's like, no, I just lost. I actually have had alopecia this whole time. I lost my hair a long time ago, and he was like, "Oh, okay." That was it. And yeah, so at the point that I decided I was going to embrace it, I realized that I wanted to actually do that for a living and show people that they can embrace whatever the thing is that makes them unique, that was once their greatest insecurity can become their greatest strength. And when I started doing videos back in, I mean, it was 2020, June 4th of 2020 was my first viral video. Ever since then, it's just going and going.
I love how you make fun of yourself, and I love I don't know what they're called, but the suction cup things.
Oh yeah, the suction toys, yeah,
They were so much
so
fun.
much fun.
I actually even did a video with you. We were just having a little fun one day. I think it was me, you, and Caesar, and
Yeah,
it's so great that you're able to, at such a young age, you were in high school and you gave up wearing a wig. Wow. That blows my mind because I remember high school and I always tell people I experienced high school three times. One when I went through it and once when each of my children went through it. And so I say I experienced high school three times. And I know that I'm in awe of you for that. Let me just say that in high school that you were able to do that. And then, the funny part is, right, you just said and only one person said something, and it actually wasn't even a bad comment. He just asked a question, and you just said, and that was it. And it was like there was no more bullying. It sounds like is that how that happened, or was there still bullying?
if there was, which I'm sure certain people probably did at some point, it doesn't stick out to me to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, this one person. It was in middle school predominantly, but as far as high school goes, there's just nothing that stands out. Like I think people just got over it, and once it was a thing that I embraced and it was obvious that it wasn't what people said wasn't going to affect me, it kind of just stopped. I mean, if you don't give them power, what are they going to do?
Oh, absolutely. I learned that. I like that. Remember the audience, remember what he said, when you don't give people power, there's nothing for them to do. And that's so true. And I think that it's awesome that at that time you were able to. So now you've moved on, right? You're doing your videos and I love watching them. But you also help other people. Let's talk about your Alopecia Foundation. Is that your own foundation or do you belong to a different one or
No,
multiple?
it's my own.
It's your own? And you help people. Tell me a story about somebody you helped that you made their life better because of your foundation.
So one of our members, his name is Sean, and he joined whenever he was 16, and now he's 21, which is crazy because I'm like, oh my gosh, just seeing him evolve as a person has been one of the coolest experiences. Because when he first joined, there weren't that many other organizations that did this, and especially not ones that met on Zoom. Usually it was chapters that met in person, so it was hard to find one near you that worked and they don't meet regularly like we do. So whenever he joined, it was still pretty difficult for him to accept the way that he looked, and he was more quiet even on the Zoom calls. Even though all of us have hair loss, he was definitely more on the quiet side. Like when we get on, we all chat. We're like, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah. I'm from here. Here's my alopecia story." And it's gotten to the point now where we pretty much just kind of jump on and talk about life because it's like, "Oh yeah, you have alopecia, but we're all just people." But anyway. Sean has come into his own so much over the past several years, and it got to the point where he even had to get out of high school to be homeschooled because he got bullied so severely. But we were able to all be here and catch him when he fell, and he joined the Zoom call that day that he was struggling, and we talked to him, we gave him all advice, and so I have always thought about how impactful one voice could be, like my voice, but having literally dozens of people who could give him advice and be there to support him is just something that, I mean, can't replace it. There's nothing better than it. Having literally dozens of people who understand you, being able to say, "Oh, I hear you. I hear your story," and say, "Oh, I relate. I experienced that this way. I experienced it that way." Oh, and literally through direct experience, being able to make him feel seen and heard. And now he's picked up martial arts and other hobbies that have really helped him to, I feel like, put his talents somewhere that gives him a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem. And I've seen him now become more social in all the calls now, and he's definitely more out there. It's like I've seen him become more of who he really is, and it's really nice. And we actually helped another member it was named Olivia the other day too. She's 13 and she just joined and is just experiencing hair loss as of now. And it's not precisely alopecia that she has. It's this form of hepatitis that is causing hair loss. And that was the first time that I actually said, you know what? I can't just be exclusive to the people that are here and say it's just alopecia because hair loss is hair loss. And when she had talked to me, she was saying, you know, I've experienced a lot of challenges because I've always wanted this Rapunzel hair, but I feel like I'm not going to get to have it. She had messaged me on Instagram, and I was like, well, look, I was nervous to invite you to this group because I was worried that you were going to feel like you were out of place because you don't have quote unquote alopecia. But I don't think that's fair because hair loss is hair loss. And there are women who will understand your journey more than I will with the Rapunzel hair, because yeah, I can somewhat relate. But I think it would be incredibly helpful, like say join with your mother, come on one of the Zoom calls, and we'll do the best that we can to offer you support. And oh my gosh, just seeing the way that they both lit up and we were able to give them really good advice. And actually, one of our members in Romania is experiencing hair loss due to hepatitis, though has gotten the official alopecia diagnosis and has the problem that she has. So they now exchange contact information and they're talking through that and her treatment and all that stuff. So she's getting the exact help that she needs. And my organization has been able to provide that. It's been an amazing experience.
You know, it's so amazing to me that you were able to really shift and say, well, hair loss, whether it's based on a diagnosis of alopecia, hair loss is hair loss, and it really affects people emotionally. I remember so, and I know I have a lot of hair. I have plenty of hair. And in the same breath, I have about half of the amount of hair that I used to. And so just so you know, and I can show pictures to prove this, that like you could never see my scalp, and now I can see my scalp, and I'm just like, and it took me time. And I was so grateful I met you because I'm like, well, because you were helpful, because okay, well, I'm losing my hair. At least I still have some, right? And I have a lot. And I'm gonna admit I do have a lot, yet it still affected me. So I'm so glad that you were able to shift and welcome somebody else in because they had a hair loss diagnosis, even though it wasn't alopecia, because those emotions are this, don't you feel you would know, are those emotions that she experienced the same as somebody who gets a alopecia diagnosis?
Absolutely. I mean, just you're going through the same thing, so I felt like it would be so sad to just say, well, you don't have this one. So sorry, go figure out whatever group is out there that can support you with exactly what you're going through. So yeah. Why would I do that?
No, I know it's so inclusionary, which is so great because a lot of people are like, oh no, you have to meet all these criteria. And oh no, well, you have hair loss. We experience the same thing for maybe for different reasons. That's okay. You're welcome. And I think that was amazing. And then you brought her mom on too, because you know, mom's her big support system. So that was like that was huge. I'm so glad you were able to see that. What do you think gives you the vision to do you think it's the alopecia that gives you the vision to be able to see more than like the bigger picture? Like you saw that the hair loss was similar to alopecia and we're able to.
I mean, I would say so. I think alopecia is something that helped me out with empathy very early on because it being treated as less than human for just not being able to grow hair seemed like the craziest thing to me. And so I think at a very young age, I thought, okay, everybody's valid for just being and existing. And I think it's so sad that we disrespect others for a multitude of reasons. So that made me just think immediately with her, like, okay, if I was in her shoes, especially, and was experiencing hair loss, any support group would be amazing and would be helpful. And for people who understand what that's like, I would like to talk to people who get it and who can give me the tools that I need. And we could provide that. So it's like, okay, it might not be precisely alopecia, but I know that we'll be able to give her advice that will help. And I mean, between the 10 of us that were on that Zoom call, and she was so happy. It was really cool.
Isn't that so cool to watch when somebody transforms right before your eyes? It almost feels like it's magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's so cool. So you were like 7 when this happened. How was your support system at that time?
It was pretty good. It was my mom that was able to be there for me, and I feel like she was able to be there to help pick me up whenever I fell, and like my sister was there for me in any way that she could be. It was tough. It was definitely tough. My grandparents, it's my grandpa who actually has alopecia. Though he lives in Canada, so he was able to talk to me more so in person whenever I came around, but it was harder for him to get to be there physically to talk me through it. But man, yeah, it was tough. But the support system was the major thing, and also the fact that I was still in school and had plenty of friends who still loved me regardless. I think that was imperative. Having people around me that still valued me just as I was to show me that, hey, this really doesn't make that big of a difference. Because I think even in middle school, whenever I had those two girls that I was like head over heels for tell me that I like you a lot, but like you more if you had hair. Even though that was the case, having a lot of friends and people who just love me for who I am, that kept me sane. And I think that people need to be able to keep that in mind and to keep surrounding themselves with good people who really love them for who they are. Because, I mean, whatever ends up changing in your life, hopefully, if you have the right people around you, they're not going to change.
Yeah, that's off. Your support system is amazing, and glad you had a great support system at home, and mom and your sister were great, and then your grandfather, he lived through it, so you knew that you could live through it too, right?
Hmm.
You tell people that like say that don't have a good support system at home, how do you help them?
Well, that's where you have to take initiative to go find your resources out there and your support groups. Because if you're going to go through it alone, it's so hard. The only thing that you can do at that point is go open Google and look up support groups for whatever it is that you got. And one of the other best places you can go, because for me, I also deal with bipolar 2, and that's a big struggle of mine. Nobody in my family knows anything about it, not unlike alopecia. I had to go to Facebook and I joined Facebook groups, made some friends on there, and they were able to help me get through it, and even on Reddit. So there's support groups out there, and there's things that you can join. There's even in-person groups. I haven't gone to them yet, but there's ones in Houston for bipolar. So it's like if you have something, there are support groups that are out there. We're in the age of social media, and people want to help people who've got the thing.
Yep, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
I love that. It's like, when I was struggling with depression and things, and your mind plays tricks on you, right? And I would think that I'm all alone. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, oh no, there's just so much help out there. People are actually kind when you find the right group and you find your tribe, as they say.
For sure. Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer, if this tribe, you got to keep going until you find the right one, because sometimes God, the universe doesn't give it to you right off the bat, and you have to keep looking. I don't know why that happens, but sometimes you do, right? Yet, and for some people, they create their own group to help other
Hmm.
people. You created your own group because you saw a need that you could fill that wasn't. Did you feel a need that you could fill that you didn't feel was being filled by other groups? Is that where you started?
Yes. And there's one group that I know of that does exist that stands for a lot of the same stuff that I do, which is Children's Alopecia Project, which the CEO of that one, it's another nonprofit. They are centered around confidence too, though I didn't know much about them at that time, and they didn't do Zoom stuff. They only have a certain amount of chapters. So like that's not an organization that could meet people's needs on a global scale every month or have a place where they can join like the Discord call that we have. We have a Discord group so you can message people anytime you want. You can say something on the server. That was not accessible. There's no organization that did that. So yeah, it was fulfilling a need that was not there yet.
Yeah, so
Like if,
out there that are looking for a support group and you may not be finding it, maybe it's time for you to create your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because sometimes that's your mission, right? To go and create something for other people. If you can't find it, you can always create it. Because I'm a big believer in that you can change your life by changing your thought process and doing and taking action. And I feel like that you're really great at taking action. I watched you over the years because we met in 2018. And it's been a pleasure to watch you and change and evolve as a human being.
Thank you.
And just watch you grow and help others. And it's just I just love it. I love having people in my life that are kind to other people. I have a course and about healing emotional trauma, right? And the first thing in the course is be kind to yourself. Do not overwhelm yourself with your healing because, these emotions you may not have felt ever, or you've been pushing them down and now you can feel them. And I
Hmm.
so important to be kind to yourself. So were you kind to yourself like when you were going through the process and you were getting bullied? How were you able to help yourself?
I feel like then it was letting my support system help me. And it's interesting because I feel like I've become more critical about certain things more so in adult years. Though in those early years, especially dealing with alopecia, I couldn't even think of a time where I feel like I wasn't nice to myself. I would say there were times where I felt bad that it was me. I was like, why is it that I'm the person that got this? I remember one time I was crying on my mom, laying on my mom's chest, and I was really young, and I was like, why me? Why me? Why is it me? And I was like thinking, oh my gosh, dude, like, I can only imagine as a mother how that felt like my poor baby. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, but
That's what you felt, because that's what I would have felt. I'm like, I wouldn't have to, and I, as a mom, right? You're not experiencing that. You don't have the tools to even know what to say to make you feel better. But she just held you and supported you.
exactly. So I let myself be lifted up and kind of just went, okay, so this is something that I've got, and I just gotta roll with the punches. Because, I mean, it's not like it was my fault. It's not like I asked for it. It's just, okay, this is what it is, and gotta keep going. And I feel like that's one of the greatest lessons I learned from alopecia because it helped me with bipolar as well. It's just sometimes things happen. You get a condition or life throws something at you, and there's nothing that you can do to avoid it. And all you can do is say, okay, this is what's happening, this is what it is, and I'm going to learn to navigate life with it. And oftentimes it teaches you something or gives you something that if you didn't have that struggle, you'd be missing out on a great gift. And usually it's empathy or it's some kind of skill or it's some kind of lesson that's able to help you help people even deeper and better and makes you be a better friend. So,
So I just had an aha moment as you were talking. You were saying you need to, you said was, I need to navigate my life with this and learn how to do it. And then I had the opposite thought. I'm like, oh, and then we can also learn to navigate life with all the gifts that we were given, which it seems to me that right? I had the aha, the opposite. Okay, so you have alopecia and you can poke fun at yourself and you can bring awareness to other people. So you actually went on the other option and you just like opened up the door to saying, this is okay and you'll be fine.
it's true. Yeah, and it's really cool to see that people are so receptive to that message, and it's also a much needed message for sure. Because where else are you going to get it?
Yeah, that's so full of it. And so I just, from being on my journey and coming into the joy in the last few years of my life, real actual joy, I'm like, it's okay that it took me this long to get here because you know what? I got here.
Exactly.
That's the only thing. Like I could be upset. That was one of the last struggles. Look, I'm getting emotional. That I was going through. It's like, why did it take me so long? And then one day I just said, who cares why it took you so long? You're here, you're happy now. Just let it go. I was
So true.
It is true. And it's just like that's what the whole podcast is about, is helping people live. in the positive of their life instead of on the other side. So now I have a couple of more questions for you. So the first question is, so some piece of advice, whether you've already said it or you want to give somebody something new, if they're struggling with something, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, you had struggles with the bullying, you had struggles, and not that you struggled with the bipolar, but you had to learn about it, right? You had to learn about it and how to live with it, right? Or just in life in general, any kind of advice to give my audience.
Yes, and it starts with asking for help and finding your support group and surrounding yourself with people who will be there to validate that you are still worthy, that life is still going to be great, and that whatever challenge you're going through, you're going to figure it out and it's going to make you even stronger. Because nobody ever asks for stuff to happen to them that's challenging, though those challenges are literally the greatest gift that you can ever receive.
Okay, I just one more question popped into my head before the final one. So is it okay to leave people behind and let go of people? Because some people
No,
have
of course.
that. It's
Of
and
course. It's hard though. It's hard.
yeah, and necessary sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you learned a lesson in that? I guess I have more than one question.
Yeah, I definitely have. There have been many people close to me that I have learned to leave behind, and that's one of the most challenging lessons because I think that I will say that there was this innate nature in me to want people to stay happy, and so it was a people-pleasing element to myself. And I think a lot of people do struggle with that, especially when you're struggling with something that makes you feel less than human because you don't want to lose people around you. So for me, I kept everybody around me because I'm like, oh, if I'm going to be lonely, I have this weird thing that makes me look weird or this condition that makes me different. I don't want these people going anywhere. But if those people didn't serve me, well, then why would I want them around? And if they make me feel worse, then gotta let them go.
It's so great that you were able to figure that out because I figured that out as well. It took me a little bit longer than I would like to admit, but it's okay. I figured it out. It's all good. And so when people want to learn more from you and they want to connect with you, how can they do that?
So the easiest way to do it actually is one of two ways. It's the same handle, the letter X, and then the Roman Empire, like the one you learned about in school, on Facebook or Instagram. And if you DM me, I check my DMs every single day. And there are links in the bios of both of those sites that has links to all my other socials and to my organization, to the alopecia community, to my merch store, or to book a one-on-one call.
No, that's awesome. And thank you for your time today. It's been a great episode.
Thank you. It's been a great time.
All right, and I'm Lisa Manzo, and I'll see you on the next episode.
This is the Phoenix mind, where the fire refines. Together we rise, transform our lives. So subscribe.